Very helpful phrases. And mostly what I want to do is reinforce the prepositions in, on, and at. So I'm talking about verbs, nouns, and adjectives that you would follow with one of these prepositions. And the goal of this lesson is really to help you improve your speaking accuracy, because this is when I notice when in speaking and writing, people make small mistakes and they use the wrong preposition. And since these are very common prepositions, I want to look at some verbs, nouns, and adjectives and the preposition that follows. So for the most part, I think you should do very well. And you probably know many of these already, which is what I hope. It's all about reinforcing it, reviewing it, because the more you see these phrases, you listen to these phrases, when you're having a conversation and you use this verb or adjective, you're just going to follow it with the correct preposition without even thinking about it. So let's look at this first one. And in the chat, in the comments, I would love it if you participate and write your answer. Again, you only have 3 choices: in, on, or at. So here is our first sentence. His attempt solving the puzzle was unsuccessful. Which of these prepositions best completes this sentence? And I say best because sometimes there is more than one answer. That does happen in English, and I know that makes it even more confusing, and I will talk about that in just a moment. His attempt solving the puzzle was unsuccessful. So the answer, I see some people putting on, not on or in. So what I would say is this is we're talking about an attempt at doing something. Attempt at, and then you're going to follow it with a gerund, that ing. So I'm giving you the meaning of an attempt. I think you know this. We're talking about it, using it as a noun, an effort to achieve or complete a difficult task or action. Here are some example sentences just to reinforce this. His attempt at solving the puzzle was unsuccessful. Her attempt at baking a cake ended in disaster when the oven malfunctioned. And finally, the team's attempt at winning the championship was thwarted by a last-minute goal. And thwarted means it was prevented. So again, this is just to reinforce this phrase, an attempt at something. So I feel like you know that noun, an attempt. One thing I want to point out is that when you're using it as a noun and following it with a gerund, to make is the verb that we're often going to use to make an attempt at doing something. Now, I will say you could say to make an attempt to do something. And if we're using it as a verb, then we are just going to follow it with to in the infinitive. To attempt to do something. So again, this is when it can be a little tricky when the part of speech changes. Sometimes that preposition will change, but not always. Again, I will come back to that in just a moment. The next one, I really hope, I hope you get this one, because I often hear mistakes with this adjective. Are you interested in joining my email community? And this is a genuine question that I have for you, in case you are not already a part of it. Are you interested in joining my email community? And I don't know if sometimes this is a language translation thing, because when people use interested, I often hear a variety of prepositions that follow. But in this case, again, we're talking about it. One preposition and then that gerund, in this case, joining. And I see all those great answers. Excellent. Great job to Kaya, Julia, Talal. Interested in. Are you interested in joining my email community? So, of course, you know the meaning of interested. You have that curiosity, concern about someone or something. Here's another couple of example sentences. He's interested in finding a new job. Or we are interested in working with you on the project. These sentences, you're going to hear me read quite a few because, again, this is all about reinforcing it. I think you know many of these nouns, verbs, and adjectives. We're focusing on that preposition that follows. And yeah, just in case you are interested in joining my email community and getting access to these lesson notes, you can click on the link in the description, join the community, and you can access the notes. If you are already a part of it, don't worry, I will send them to you. How about the next one? Many companies have reliance, foreign labor. Once again, we're just talking about those three prepositions down below. In, on, at. Which one is going to complete this sentence? Many companies have reliance, foreign labor. So what would you say? We're talking about the noun, reliance, and we're going to follow it with which preposition? And the answer is to have a reliance on someone or something. In this case, a reliance, we're talking about that dependence on someone or something. Now, in this case, if we have the noun reliance and we're going to follow it with on, if we change it to, if we use it as a verb, to rely, once again, we're going to follow it with on, to rely on someone or something. Here are some other example sentences. Besides the first one, many companies have reliance on foreign labor. Her reliance on coffee to stay awake is starting to affect her health. Or the company's reliance on outdated technology has slowed down its progress. My goal, I hope, as long as I keep saying the phrase reliance on, reliance on, reliance on, it's gonna stick up here in your brain. Here we go. Our success depends teamwork. Now we're talking about a verb, to depend. Are we going to follow that with in, on, or at? Our success depends teamwork. This is another, I told you, these are common phrases. These are phrases that you're going to use in daily conversation when you're talking casually with a friend or a family member or a colleague. And you're going to say that something depends on something else. Excellent, Lolly, Joanna, Madi, perfect. To depend on. Depend, I think you know the meaning, but just in case, I'm putting it up here. To be influenced or determined by something else. Our success depends on teamwork. Our ability to finish on time may depend on the weather as we're working outdoors. And you can always depend on Sarah to help you out when you're in a bind. And if you're unfamiliar with that last phrase, in a bind, it just means that you are in a difficult situation. And you could say you're in a bind. But you can depend on Sarah. So depend on. Just keep that in mind. She has a wealth of experience managing projects. Once again, we're just keeping in mind that those three prepositions, in, on, at. A wealth of experience managing projects. We're talking about the noun experience, and we're going to follow that with which one? So the answer in this case, and I would say definitely use this preposition. Again, sometimes you may hear others, but she has a wealth of experience in managing projects. So you have experience, you have knowledge or skill in a particular job or activity, and you may not always follow it with a preposition, but if you do, you're going to talk about the area of expertise or some field, we're going to follow it with in. She has a wealth of experience in managing projects. His experience in graphic design helped him land a job at the creative agency. And finally, I'm looking for someone with experience in data analysis to join our team. You have experience in something. Just to keep this a little, casual, here's a funny little meme joke that I found, so I thought I would share it with you. But again, still using experience in. So it's like this woman interviewer is asking, you're asking for a pretty high salary for someone who has no experience in this field. And the person who's applying for the job, this guy says, well, this job is going to be super hard since I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. All right, so it's kind of humorous in that he has, look, you have no idea. That means you're going to have to work very hard to learn what you should do. So yeah, I'm going to ask for a lot of money, even though I have no experience in this field. Try to keep it light from time to time. What do you think? I was skeptical first, but now I believe it's possible. And this one, I will clarify something, but think about the expression. And that's a little bit of a hint, but I feel like this is a phrase that you've heard of before. You may even use it. I was skeptical first, but now I believe it's possible. So this is one of those situations when you're not sure. Even if you're unsure, I would say, what feels right? Oftentimes, it's not always best to just go by feeling, but when it comes to these prepositions, I absolutely think it is. I was skeptical at first. Skeptical at something. So skeptical, it just means you're not easily convinced. Maybe you're having doubts or reservations. So I said to think of it like an expression, skeptical at first. So we're really talking about that phrase at first. We're going to use at. At first, I felt this way, and now I feel this way. So when we're talking about that entire phrase, I was skeptical at first, but now I believe it's possible. Often, and the thing that I wanted to point out is that when you use the adjective skeptical, most of the time you're going to follow it with of. Now, I know we're talking about in, on, and at, and this is a specific phrase, skeptical at first. But then, talking about how you're no longer skeptical. But mostly you would say that you are skeptical of someone or skeptical of something. To reinforce this, I gave you those news headlines down below. It just says why some EV researchers are skeptical of BYD's fast charging tech. And then finally, analysts are skeptical of Apple's $1 billion deal with NVIDIA. So keep in mind, if we're talking about this phrase, skeptical at first, and often it's used together like that, but generally speaking, that the adjective skeptical is often going to be followed by of. You're skeptical of someone or something. I know with these prepositions they can be certain they can certainly be confusing, which again is why I hear mistakes. Small, minor mistakes. These are just very small mistakes, which goes back to accuracy. This is all about accuracy. Speaking and writing accuracy. Their success in business is impressive. Which of these prepositions are you going to use? In, on, at. We're talking about the noun success. This is a word that you know, that you use. But in this case, which preposition are you going to follow it with? I hope that you said, and I see a lot of them. Excellent. Joanna, Takayao, John, success in. The accomplishment of an aim or purpose. You have success in something. Success in life. Their success in business is impressive. Or here's another couple of sentences for you. Their success in the startup world is attributed to their innovative approach and teamwork. Or the company's success in launching the new product exceeded all expectations. And you have success in something or success in doing something. This is not really humorous. I just thought it was kind of cute. Your greatest success in life may not be something you achieve, but someone you love. All that, the dog with all those little puppies around there. Yeah, I just thought it was cute. Maybe a good way to reinforce success in something. And I hope that, yes, thank you. Excellent, Lolly. I hope that you read my mind. I hope that all of you have great success in learning English, improving your skills, whether it's vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation. I just want to help you reach your fluency goals. And again, I know these prepositions sound like, oh, in, on, at. I know these. I use them all the time. This can be a little tricky, and it's all about accuracy. When you say the verb, noun, adjective, I want to make sure that you're using the correct preposition. So how about this one? He was insistent, getting the job done his way. Which preposition are we going to follow insistent with? He was insistent, getting the job done his way. So in this case, you are going to say someone was insistent on doing something. So if you're insistent, it just means you're firmly saying that something must be true or done. He was insistent on getting the job done his way. They were insistent on getting the best seats for the concert, even though they arrived late. Or my parents were insistent on me attending college, even though I wanted to travel the world first. That sounds like me. Once again, we're talking about the noun insistent, and we're going to follow that with on. If we're going to use this as a verb, we're still going to use on, to insist on something. I insist on you participating in these lessons. I insist on you participating and writing your answers in the chat, in the comments. This is, after all, interactive English, and yeah, I want you to participate. What do you think? This beautiful picture right here. They gazed, the beautiful sunset. I feel like that many of these you should know. I hope that you're doing very well on this quiz. That's the idea, is that this is just reinforcing it and just trying to iron out these small mistakes. It's all about accuracy. They gazed, the beautiful sunset. So again, if you know what the word gaze means, it makes it a lot easier. They gazed at the beautiful sunset. If you're gazing at someone or something, it's a look steadily or intently, especially in, admiration, surprise, thought, beauty. They gazed at the beautiful sunset. I often gaze at old photos, reminiscing about the good times I've had. And finally, he couldn't help but gaze at the beautiful paintings for hours, admiring every detail. So gaze, you see in the meaning right there, that look. Whenever we're talking about that meaning, you're going to follow it with at. You gaze at something. You look at something. You stare at something. More or less, those are synonyms. I think using gaze or stare is a little more precise, gives more information, but in either way, you're going to follow all of those verbs with at. Gaze at, look at, stare at. What do you think? I have faith, your ability to succeed. And this is true. I would say this to you. I have faith, your ability to succeed. I almost just said the preposition there. So what you have faith, someone or something. And I feel like this is often, you could even think of this as a collocation, using faith, someone's ability. When talking about, I'm almost, the more I talk, the more I actually almost accidentally give the answer. But since many of you, yes, you wrote it down there, perfect. Faith in. So faith means you have complete trust or, again, confidence in someone or something. You believe in someone or something. All of those, again, they sometimes can be used interchangeably. You have faith in someone, you believe in someone, you have confidence in someone. But let me give you some more example sentences just to really, I'm going to keep saying that, reinforce faith in. I have faith in your ability to succeed. That is true. His faith in humanity was renewed after seeing all kinds of acts of kindness during the crisis. Or despite the challenges, they never lost faith in their vision for the company. You have faith in someone. Lolly, I really appreciate it. You have faith in me. I have faith in you as well. Perfect. So one thing I also wanted to share with you was some more collocations, because I talked about faith in someone's abilities. And that is a phrase that you may often hear using the faith in. You may also hear somebody talk about faith in humanity. You heard it in one of those example sentences. You may also have blind faith in someone or something. That you have blind, maybe you have, you're not going to change your belief in that case, and you have blind faith in this person. You may also use it with the phrase to put your faith in someone. And it's like putting your trust in someone. Notice with all these words that I'm using, trust in, believe in, faith in. And then finally, maybe you tell somebody and you want to convince them of something and say, look, have faith in me. I want you to have a little faith in me. It's very important. How about this? They decided a new course of action. So this picture, I think, is relevant. We're talking about change, and we're going to follow the verb decide. In this case, we're using it in the past, decided something. So how are you going to complete this sentence? In, on, at. Write your answers in the chat, in the comments, and I love seeing all of these correct answers. Again, I feel like these are phrases. These are definitely words that you should know, and then it's just figuring out that preposition that follows. They decided on a new course of action. So you know this verb, to decide. You come or bring a resolution in your mind as a result of consideration. And you may decide on something. Here's some other examples. It's hard to decide on the perfect gift when there are so many great options. Or we still haven't decided on where to go for vacation this year. And you need to decide on something. How about this next one? I was surprised how well the event went. We're talking about surprised. This adjective, I was surprised how well the event went. Which of these prepositions are you going to use? I'd like to give you a moment so I can see some answers, and then we can I'll let you know. So I was surprised. I see some differences. In this case, you were surprised at something. I was surprised at how well the event went. You're not really going to follow this adjective with the preposition in. I saw that come up a few times, but you would be surprised at something. So you know, surprised, this feeling you get when, something happens and you didn't expect it. Here's another couple of sentences for you. I was surprised at how quickly she finished the entire project. Or I was surprised at the price of the new phone. It was much cheaper than I expected. And you were surprised at something. Once again, I don't think this is new necessarily. It's just about if you didn't get one correct, just thinking about that answer, looking at these sentences, reading them, maybe saying them out loud. It's all about accuracy and following these words with the correct preposition. What do you think about this one? There was a noticeable change in the weather. And once again, I think this is a bit of a collocation. We're talking about a change, something, and often people will use this when talking about the weather because the weather is constantly changing, and you may talk about a change, the weather. And the fact that I'm talking about the weather, again, if you're unsure, just what feels right, because I'm sure that you have probably heard this before, and somebody talking about a change in the weather or a change in something. So when we change, we make something or it becomes difficult or different, or alter. They decided, whoops, that's a little typo. I should have put this first sentence up here. There was a noticeable change in the weather. Here are another couple of example sentences using change in. The change in the schedule caused some confusion among the team. Or she made a noticeable change in her diet, switching to healthier plant-based foods. So there is a change in something, a change in the weather, a change in your schedule, or a change in your diet. I think those are actually topics that you may talk about. Hey, there is a change in this thing. And I once again, I feel like as long as I keep saying change in, it's just going to stick up here in your mind. That is the goal. And maybe the next time you're talking, you're just going to hear me saying change in. How about this? He is an expert, ancient history. He is an expert, ancient history. We're talking about an expert, Again, this is a common word. I think you know it. And how are we going to follow? What are we going to say? An expert, ancient history. This is one that, again, this can be confusing. And I will talk about why in just a moment. And this is why English can be confusing. And in particular, this is why prepositions can be incredibly confusing. And I understand why people make slight speaking mistakes. So we're talking about an expert. And then we're following it with this topic. So in this case, this is what I would say. He is an expert on ancient history. So you know what an expert is, a person with a great deal of knowledge about something, or maybe they're very skillful in a particular area. Here are some example sentences, and then I'll tell you why I think this can be very tricky. He is an expert on ancient history. The professor is an expert on climate change and has published several groundbreaking studies on the topic. And finally, as an expert on nutrition, she helps athletes optimize their diets for peak performance. So the reason why I said this can be a bit tricky is because you may hear people say expert on or expert in. And this is something that I thought was helpful, and I thought dictionary summarized it well, and I'll read what was highlighted there. If you had said expert in instead of expert on, both of them are correct, but there is a slight difference in meaning. So it says in, when you say in, it makes the emphasis slightly heavier on the person who has expertise. So if you want to emphasize, well, the person is like their expertise, then you could use in. It says, while on places some emphasis on the subject in which expertise is shown. And they gave you an example. My brother is an expert in foreign policy. So in that case, if somebody's an expert in foreign policy, it's like the emphasis would be on the person, the brother. Whereas if I, like in our example sentence, I said, he is an expert on ancient history, it's like the emphasis is on the topic, the subject, which is ancient history. Expert on, expert in, both of them are correct. And once again, for this reason, yeah, it can be a bit confusing. What do you think about this sentence right here? The company aims increasing its market share. We're talking about the verb aim. This is a verb that you probably know. It is not the most common verb in the world, but it is one that you may come across. You're listening to a movie, TV show, you're reading a news article, and maybe you even see a sentence exactly like this. The company aims increasing its market share. Well done. Excellent. Lali, Talal, Apama, Joanna, aim at. Alfred. So when we're talking about the verb to aim, we're like having the intention of achieving something. The company aims at increasing its market share. The new advertising campaign is designed to aim at a younger audience. And finally, the policy changes are aimed at improving healthcare access for undeserved communities. Aim at, aim at, aim at. Again, just with that repetition. So here is a review of the phrases that we were looking at today, and I've broken them down with the ones with on, in, at. So like on, we talked about a reliance on someone or something, to depend on. And someone is insistent on something, or an expert on, or in, we just talked about that, or you decided on doing something. The phrases within, very common. I think often we use interested, and you are interested in something. Or maybe you have a lot of experience in taking these quizzes and you do a great job, which I hope you did. I hope you had a lot of success in taking this quiz and you did really well, because I have faith in you. kind of just now ad-libbing sentences as we go through these. Change in, remember we talked about a change in the weather. And then finally those phrases with at, there is an attempt at doing something, or you aim at doing something. You're gazing at someone or something, same with look at or stare at. You were surprised at something. And finally, skeptical at first. Remember, I wanted to include that as a phrase together. You're skeptical at first, but once again, if you're talking about the adjective skeptical, often we're going to follow that with the preposition of. So what I'd like you to do is let me know in the comments how well you did on this quiz. I hope that it was pretty easy for you, that you were able to get most of these correct, because these nouns, verbs, and adjectives I think are fairly common. We use them all the time, and I just want to make sure that you're using the correct preposition. And this is a good way to practice. This is a good way to reinforce these words. So these are very useful phrases, great way to build your vocabulary and improve your speaking and writing accuracy. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you to Kaio and Glad. Again, I think you bring up a great point. If you feel a little more confident using these, because when you're having a conversation, you don't need to stop to think about the correct preposition. Just use what comes naturally. And then what comes naturally, it's going to develop participating in quizzes like this, watching more movies, TV shows, reading more. I think reading is incredibly important, which is why I gave you all of those example sentences. And remember, if you want these lesson notes, join my email community. Check out that link down below in the description. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you soon for another lesson in the near future. So long.